It is now 5 o'clock. I will call the meeting of the Waxahachie Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Let the record show we have 6 trustees in attendance, and this meeting has been duly called, and notice of the meeting has been duly posted for time and manner required by law. At this time, we are going to convene into closed session according to Section 551.001 et sec of the Texas Government Code. It is now 5 p.m. 5:42, we're going to reconvene back into open session. At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Rogers to lead us in our invocation, followed by our Pledge of Allegiances by Elena Benitez and Maylee McCorkle from Waxahachie High School.
All right, if y'all will bow with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight thanking you for this opportunity to meet in open session, and thank you for all that's represented here tonight, from our faculty to our staff to our kids and to our community. We just pray that we glorify you with all of our actions. We make good decisions for our district and for our kids. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
I'm not moving here, Joe. There we go.
Our vision is to be a district where innovation thrives and growth is limitless.
We value choices because they make us unique and are critical to learning.
We value a collaborative culture that honors and supports all who positively impact the lives of our students.
We value an environment of belonging that respects individual differences and ensures equality for all.
We value relationships that broaden learning experiences and enrich our community.
All right, we're a little early and ahead of schedule, so we're going to skip over recognitions and come back to them. So our next item on our agenda would be our open forum. At this point, we don't have anyone signed up to speak tonight, so we will move into item 5A, which would be our superintendent's report. It'll be Dr. Hollingsworth.
Thank you, Mr. Autry. Joe, I think y'all are going to jump us forward to can you jump me forward to the superintendent's report, please, sir? Here we go. All right. Well, as we do each month, we wanted to give you our monthly enrollment and average daily attendance as we end out the month of September. You can see we rose from 11,041 students at the end of August to 11,053. Our average daily attendance is at about 95.36. We're trending higher than we were a year ago, which is good. We're not quite back up to our pre-COVID numbers district-wide, but we're making good progress in that area. I do want to talk to you about a focus that we've had, and this is part of our balanced scorecard on advanced academics. One of the main things that we have worked on as a district is encouraging more students who are able to take advanced coursework to do so. And typically, whether we're talking about a junior high student or a high school student, I'll say that if little John Rogers is able to take 2 advanced courses as a 7th grader, then I would say, why can't you take 3? And if little John can take 3, why can't he take 4? And so those are some of the questions that we're having with our young people and encouraging more students to participate. A big part of that is in our efforts to educate our students and their families as students are registering for courses. One of the things that I like to really point out to families is how important it is for students to take challenging coursework when they go from 5th grade into 6th grade. Because really, some of the courses that students take as 6th graders can determine what they're going to be able to take once they get up into their high school years. So that's an important education piece for us. We try to educate our families on the cost savings, that if you get dual credit, for example, you're paying just a few $100s for dual credit as opposed to thousands of dollars for those same courses at the university level. So we start educating our families in that 5th going to 6th grade transition. Another important transition is 8th going into 9th grade. And we're also using what's called AP Potential. The College Board actually takes PSAT performance, and they're able to give us lists of students who would be better off taking some of those more advanced courses. We give that information to our counselors, and I want to share some really encouraging information with you based upon our efforts to increase students taking our most advanced courses. In 22-23, we had 1,274 instances of students taking a pre-AP course, and this is just at Waxahachie High School. So let's give you a snippet. In 23-24, we saw a 10.8% increase in the percentage of students taking those courses, up to 1412. Now, just to clarify, these are seats. So little David Averett could show up 3 times in that number because he may be taking 3 pre-AP courses, if that makes sense, okay? Similarly, in our AP courses in 22-23, we had 1,293 students who challenged themselves with an AP course. That increased to 1,697. So that's a 31.25% increase in the numbers of students choosing to take AP courses. And similarly, in our dual credit offerings, we saw an increase in 22-23 from 324 seats taking dual credit to 442. So that's a 36.4%, I'm sorry, a 36.4% increase in dual credit. This is the first year we've offered telescoping. A very small number of students qualified for telescoping at the elementary level, meaning they're able to move up to the next level for mathematics. And y'all know this is the first year we've offered our accelerated pathway, and that's by invitation only for students to be able to take accelerated math and science. Those students will take Algebra 1 as 7th graders, geometry as 8th graders, and we'll be looking for courses for them to take once they get to that 3rd and 4th year of their high school career. So really excited about that focus on advanced academics and the fruit it's already yielding. I wanted to share with y'all too, one of the things we do, just to give you an indication of how it is that we learn and grow in our cabinet meetings. These are some of our reading book studies that we've done. Last year, 2 of the books that we looked at were The Way of the Shepherd by Dr. Kevin Lehman and The Power of Positive Leadership by John Gordon. Our newest book study that we've begun for this particular semester is District Leadership That Works, and that's by Robert Marzano and Timothy Waters. Dr. Marzano is kind of the guru of best instructional practices, and this is where he lays out the map for districts that are most effective and how they work together. And then finally, I wanted to share with y'all something that you will be hearing more about. I have asked Mr. Avenshine to conduct a policy review for our school district. That's something that should be done, and you'll see that right there. How often do we need one on that bottom left-hand side? Policy Service recommends a thorough policy review every 5 to 7 years. The last one we did was in the spring of 19. We plan to conduct a policy review in the spring of 24. So we're right on track for that to take place. They also recommend a policy review when there's been a change in district leadership. And so I'm in my 3rd year. Obviously, this is a good time for us to review our policies. Here's kind of what that process looks like. Really what it boils down to, and I'm not going to read all of this to you, but what it boils down to is they want to know what are your actual practices and how does that vary from the policies that we have in place? So they'll review all of our policies and they'll say, hey, we talked to your staff and this is what you're really doing, but your policy says this. And so we'll be able to bring our policy in line with our actual practices. And so good practice that good districts do, and that's something that we'll be planning on doing this spring. And so that concludes my superintendent's report.
Any questions for Dr. Hollingsworth? Okay. We will move into Report B, Bond 2023 Construction Update. Mr. Mott, Mr. Myers.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Hollingsworth. I'm here tonight to give you your monthly construction update on the Bond 2023. This is for October, this month. So we're going to start with elementary number 10. So here's a view. I show you last month and this month's view from the drone, same place every time, as close as we can get it. So you're kind of seeing that. You can see there's a lot of concrete that has been poured and so forth there, and I'm going to give you a little bit on that. But I want to show you one more picture that really shows that a little better. As you can see there, there's all most of your concrete is poured for your parkings. We are later in the consent agenda item tonight. There's going to be, you're considering to approve $166,922 for an extra parking lot, which is going to go right up there in the top. That we had originally planned to do that when the developer started to develop that area in a year, 2, 3 down the road. As you can see, they're already moving to start developing that. So while we have concrete already mobilized and everything out there, it's going to be a lot more cost effective to go ahead and do that. So that's why we're moving that on there. So then you can see here that large picture there, that was our first approach. Then that finished us to be able to have the fire marshal come out, give us an approval so we could start to go vertical. And if you happen to own a pickup truck that doesn't like a lot of dirt or anything like that, you can now come at the site and never take your Concrete Princess fire truck off onto the dirt. Just to let you know that, if that affects anybody in here. The styrofoam you see there, that will be what we will start going vertical tomorrow, is the gym or storm shelter. So those are blocks that will go up around. Then they will be poured full of concrete. We'll go up about 10 or 12 feet. We'll fill it full of concrete. Then we'll start another 10 or 12 feet and do that. And we do that, and that's about as high up as you can go with that. But that will start tomorrow as it's starting laying out the styrofoam and all that. That'll be the first place we're going vertical. And we're going to Wildman Steam. Here's your monthly site view. As you can see, that view on the left, that is our land before we started. And on the right, on the right, and on the left, you can see that is the actual new site with a lot of dirt being moved. So that what you see there is...
Can you go back to that real quick? Yes, I want to point out, if y'all look where those 4 circles of dirt right here on that, that's the approximate location of where that 3 to 4 acre pond will be. So we're going to dig that pond, and that pond, what they dig out of it is what we'll use to do most of your leveling for the school site.
Right now they're predicting that we'll be able to get all of our dirt from on site. That's for what they can tell.
And that's a pretty significant cost savings too.
It will be. So you can see here's where they are currently digging the pad site, and so they don't dig it down 4 to 6 feet. We're going in and digging through the rock now instead of paying the electrician when they have to go through it or the plumber when they have to go through it. These guys have a little bit bigger machinery, makes it a little bit easier, so when they go through it. And we can't have a rock bigger than 3 inches in the pad itself. So they're digging these big rocks up, breaking them up, they're putting them in those, and they're running over bulldozers and flattening them out to get them into the 3-inch increments that we can use as part of the compaction. Your Hancock building. So we have released drawings for pricing. We'll have our pre-bid meeting on October 17th. We will, bids will close on October 25th at 2 p.m. And we are working with the city to get the building permits from them. That is it for that so far. So then Prop C. Currently, we're working on Cliff Playground and the Wedgeworth Playground. We're converting it from wood mulch to turf underneath the playgrounds. And we'll be starting Monday on the Wildman roof overlay on the current Wildman building. We have recently completed one of Cliff's playgrounds, converting it from wood mulch to the turf underneath, and then the north side roof, which you will also be later in the consent agenda doing the final payment for that, and that will be a completion of, so your final payment for that will be $188,632.50, and that will be from the job is totally now 100% complete. The only thing you may still see there is a few leftover products they'll be moving this week over to Wildman staging area to be used there. And then here are some pictures of the Clift Playground. So the one in the middle you can see, they go in, they dig out all the wood mulch and dirt and stuff and go down to a certain level, and they'll come in and put anywhere, this one has anywhere from 4 to 10 inches of rock. It is compacted, and they put decomposed granite, compact it. They'll put a 2-inch black pad, and then they'll put the turf on there. So that center picture is a perfect picture to show all the little processes there. And then the picture in the top right and the bottom left is the completed playground there. So it did change the look, and everyone that I've talked to is really liking the look and how it is. And this is your north side roofing, with it being completed. Any questions?
One of the things that we'll be able to do is set up very soon with the board in small groups is for y'all to be able to come up and see some of the architect's work on Hancock, so that you can look at that, view the plans, and some artist rendition. We don't have a fly-through for that one yet, but it's something you'll be able to see, and we'll set those up shortly.
Questions for Mr. Mott? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Report C, WISD Balance Scorecard, Priority 2, Honor and Support Staff. Be Dr. Avert.
Yes, sir. President Autry, Dr. Hollingsworth, and Board. As we said last month, we're going to be talking about our Balanced Scorecard Priority 2. Just a quick reminder, Priority 2 is to honor and support staff. And just a quick review of our performance objectives, honor staff contributions and achievements, annually increase faculty and staff satisfaction and engagement, promote a collaborative culture by engaging in instructional staff in the practice of a professional learning community, and invest in staff growth through professional learning and specialized training. Obviously, we're going to have recognitions tonight. We do that at every board meeting. We have at least one campus or department come up, and we focus on them. And so we'll have a campus and department tonight. So this is something that's in our DNA now as a district, and we're going to do it every month. Annually increase staff satisfaction, and we have our key strategic actions there, talk about surveys and listening and learning protocols, and then connection and collaboration rounding. We are very happy with our third-party vendor Qualtrics. We used them last spring to distribute our staff satisfaction survey. That deployment went really well. We're actually investigating another piece of Qualtrics called Let's Talk, and that would be a function on our website if we decide to go that way. And it would allow not only staff but other patrons, parents, community members to choose from a menu of items that they have a question about, and then that software would then direct it to the appropriate person in the district that can answer that question. So we're currently investigating that part of the system. With looking at our staff surveys and trying to increase our faculty and staff participation and engagement, one of our long-term desired outcomes, as we've talked about in the past, was to double our participation. We were not happy with the 22.5% faculty participation. We wanted to double that. We were very happy last spring that we actually went past that goal of over 50%. And so we're in the process of adjusting our long-term desired outcome there. We feel like we'll probably never get to 100%, but we really want to get as much good, actionable data as we can. We feel like the more data we get from our campuses and our faculty, the better decisions we can make. So we talk about our implementing listening and learning protocols. Dr. H has already started his 5th iteration of this protocol, Hamburgers with Hollingsworth visits this fall. He's already started those on campuses and departments. And also, this fall, we're implementing a teacher advisory council that will meet just with Dr. H to hear additional feedback, a more intimate location, more intimate way to do that versus in front of the whole faculty. There will be representatives from all departments and staff. And as with prior rounds, what we do after we get that information, we theme it with the help of obviously Ms. Bridges. We theme that information so we can start looking at trends and then make adjustments to things based on those trends. It helps us to inform our district decisions so we can respond to those valid concerns. And again, related to the previous slide, develop and implementing connection and collaboration rounding. A fall rounding has already begun. One of the things we saw last year that we heard from staff, and I'll let Mrs. James going to come up and speak to it a little bit, but one of the things we talked about that was talked about with us was grading. They wanted us to re-examine our grading guidelines, specifically at the secondary level. And I think if you'll remember back, I believe it was in August, we discussed our grading guidelines and how we had made some changes to those, and that was based primarily, solely actually, on secondary administrators and secondary teachers, and we got them together in a room. We spent several hours going through it line by line, and we came to some really good conclusions, I think, that have made our grading guidelines better for our students and better for the folks that have to implement them. That was our staff. So I'll let Mrs. James speak a minute about compensation.
Okay, on the compensation plan, what we did, Human Resources reviewed our competitive districts on the 287 corridor, which was Mansfield, Midlothian, Red Oak, and Ennis. And in reviewing that, we saw that we have some of our positions that were a little bit lower than theirs, so we made some adjustments in the pay structures for those considerations. We did find that our instructional pay structure was the highest within that group, and then our auxiliary was more competitive. So we were okay with those pay structures, but our clerical support pay structure, pay grade 3 and 4, had some adjustments, and then we looked at our professional pay structure and pay grade 5, and we recreated a pay grade 6 because what we found was that our coordinators on pay grade 4 were a little bit lower than what the area had, so we made a new pay grade 6 and made some adjustments. And we did have to make individual adjustments to align within that pay structure. Any questions?
Thank you, Mrs. James. Now I'll have Dr. Bender come up and talk a little bit about PLC, because that's obviously one of the things that we want to make sure we have is time for our teachers to work and plan together. And we believe work is better when you get to work with other people and you're more productive. And that's and the way we do that is to engage in a professional learning community.
All right. Thank you. So yes, thanks to your support of the last couple of years as our district has gone through the training and the process to become a professional learning community. One of the things that you guys have done for us is provided time for our teachers to have that during the day where they can get together with their grade level teams or their content teams and work together. And then one of the areas that we're going to work on, even based on last week's decision, moving forward in this district, we're going to provide some more time for some campuses where they can come together and do some more lesson internalization, moving away from the lesson planning design to lesson internalization. And so we've got a couple of campuses that are going back and looking at a master schedule now to see how they can carve out more time for their teachers to have protected time where they can do professional learning with the campus principal and then even with the TLI department to work on that lesson internalization process. Yes, sir.
I want to add just an anecdotal comment on that. Today I was on the phone with one of our elementary principals. I won't identify which one, but I was on the phone with one of our elementary principals, and she was talking about how they were moving to a daily PLC, and that she had 2 teachers approach her in tears of happiness, just that they were able to provide that additional time for them for the purpose of being able to work together. And that really shows how far we've come in terms of our PLC work, because we've gone from a place of, hey, you're going to do this and you have to meet as a team, to a place where now they're asking for more time to be able to work with their collaborative teams. And I thought that was a really beautiful example.
Absolutely. So essential standards are the standards that teachers came together and identified as the things that students really needed to know in order to progress to that next grade level. And it's something that we'll come back and look at annually as our students progress through the data. We can use that information to shape and change the standards that we're looking at for that next school year. Guiding coalitions are the teams on a campus that get together and really force the change to occur. And so they get together, it's a group of stakeholders, includes department level, team leads, principal, assistant principal, people like that, and they're the ones that will drive change on a campus. Well, actually, I'll introduce this one here. So invest in staff through professional learning. This is another area where we've got teams that are coming together to look at the needs that we've got across the district. And so a team was formed at the end of last year to really assess what teachers are wanting to know and staff members want to know, and put together a plan, a calendar of events that teachers can schedule throughout the school year. And so some of these things are offered during lunchtime, so it's a lunch and learn session. Some are after school, some will take place during PLC time. So it's kind of evolving based on what the needs are for teachers at that time. Principals actually participated a couple of weeks ago in their first principal PLC. So they came together. It was strictly instructional time for them. They got to come together as a principal team and go through the work that they deal with on a daily basis. They don't always get a lot of time to talk together and work together like this. So they had a half day where they got to come together, facilitated over in the TLI building. And so we worked with them through some of the big things they want to work with on their campus. They got to share things from each campus so they could learn from each other. They actually went through a 5th grade math lesson as a principal team and internalize that lesson to kind of go through and see the struggles that a teacher would encounter when they're doing the same work. And so they laid that process out for each other, and they've got a monthly agenda that they will keep up. They've actually requested some time with Dawn. They always want to meet with Dawn, and so we've scheduled time with her every time they come back together so they can keep reinforcing the use of data in their daily decisions that they're making on those campuses.
Okay, and to talk about our long-term desired outcome to be a district involved in the teacher incentive allotment process. We surveyed our teachers earlier this fall semester to gauge interest. A solid majority of our staff expressed interest in our district pursuing a TIA, and so therefore we determined that WISD will move forward. Teachers had to elect to pursue TIA by September 30th. However, that deadline has been extended till a week from today. So I believe that's the 17th. Those eligible for TIA are those assigned to teach grades 1 through 8 reading and math, biology, Algebra 1, English 1 and 2, dyslexia, SPED teachers with listed content, and math and reading content interventionists. And then back to the discussion of the PLC process and embedded throughout the entire district. Every member actively participates. We know that this is a work in progress. You know, as we move forward in our cascading scorecard development for campuses and departments, this will become more defined. We know that we do have challenges on some of our campuses, particularly secondary campuses when it comes to PLC time and those who teach a core content but may also coach a sport, because sometimes it's difficult when they have multiple athletic periods assigned. It just compresses the day, so it makes it a little more difficult. So, but we're still working on it to do the best we can to make sure those folks have time to work together as best as we can do. We're going to talk in November about community and stakeholder relations. That's our next scorecard report, and that's the topic that we will discuss.
Any questions for Dr. Averett, Dr. Benninger? Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
And our last report of the night will be the WISD District and Campus Improvement Performance Plans. Dr. Averett.
Okay, I have my coworker, Mrs. Mott's going to come up and help me present this. So our campus and district improvement plans, our DIPs and SIPs, one of the things that we're going to just kind of outline for you is how those plans mirror or are mirrored in our district scorecard.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Hollingsworth. So our priorities are the same on both the district improvement plan, the campus improvement plan, and the balanced scorecard. You can see those 4 priorities listed there: student growth, honor and support staff, community and stakeholder relationships, and financial integrity. Performance objectives are the same on all 3 of those as well. The place where you will see some differences would be in the strategies. Strategies from the balanced scorecard do reflect onto the district improvement plan. There are a few strategies that are, a few extra strategies on the district improvement plan, and those are related to federal funding strategies. Things like suicide prevention, training, things like that, that we are required to have on the DIP, the district improvement plan. Also, you will notice in the plan that is presented for the informational item tonight, you will see the funding allocations for those strategies in your district improvement plan strategies as well. And of course, the strategies for the campus improvement plans will look a little bit different than the district improvement plans. Performance objectives and priorities, of course, are the same, but those strategies are based upon the campus assessment and the needs assessment that they do in the spring, and that then generates their strategies for improvement on their campus improvement plan. This evening, we'd like to highlight a couple of changes on our balanced scorecard that translate over to the district improvement plan. Under priority 1 of student growth, performance objective 1, every student grows academically every year in English language arts, reading, math, science, and social studies. We've added this strategy, strategy number 2, to ensure the use of high quality instructional materials, you've heard those referred to as HQIM, and research-based instructional strategies, and we refer to those as RIBIs. The expected impact and result is the improvement in student academic performance. You see those staff members responsible for monitoring at the district level, the 3 assistant superintendents, director of teaching and learning, and the curriculum coordinators. On that particular strategy, since it is a new one, we wanted to lay out a little bit of our training and our monitoring strategies. As far as training on those high quality instructional materials and the research-based instructional strategies, we will have training embedded with the TLI staff in teachers' classrooms and on campuses. We'll have after-school sessions helping navigate both of those HQIM and the RIBIs, and then lesson internalization through the PLC process. We will continue to monitor that throughout the year. We have our weekly Zoom meetings with principals, and we focus on the HQIMs during those meetings. Collaboration walks with district and campus leadership. TLI is continuing to walk classrooms as well and focused in on high quality instructional materials. And then weekly teacher PLC meetings where we will see a transfer of the main topic of discussion will now become lesson internalization to go along with our 4 PLC questions.
And again, related to our priority 1 strategies of student growth and the same performance objectives, you'll see these things align throughout the plan. Strategy 3, to ensure PLC's focus on the 4 guiding questions and respond to student performance through changes to instructional practice and appropriate interventions. Obviously, we want to see improvement in student academic performance. This is going to be basically driven in the PLC process that we focus on what do we want our students to know, how do we know if our students know it, what do we do if they don't know it, and what are we going to do if they already do? Those are the 4 guiding questions of every PLC, and so we want to continue to focus back on what the PLC process is supposed to look like. Also related to priority 1 of student growth, development, implement, and sustain walkthrough protocols. We actually just talked about that a little bit, but that is a key component of the monitoring of this process to make sure that we see the desired classroom environments, research-based instructional practices, and that they're aligned with T-tests and district expectations. We use the walkthrough protocols that are in Strive, Eduphoria Strive. We also are using a new program this year called KickUp, which is really more of a data collection and analytics software that lets our TLI staff enter what they see in the classrooms and are able to break that down analytically and then help us to inform our decisions of how to address things. Again, we hope increased teacher capacity and improvement in academic performance. Also, another additional strategy that we have related to this, though, and related to priority 2, as we talked about earlier tonight when we discussed this, we discussed priority 2, sustain a consistent PLC culture, and that is to dedicated time and commitment. I'll reiterate what Dr. H was talking about and what Dr. Beneker was talking about with our campuses taking a look at their taking a look at their master schedule and tweaking those things to build in extra time. I know I've had discussions with my junior high principals about making sure that we're providing time during the day, and even making changes of where maybe advisory might be, or who goes to advisory when, to make sure that our core classes have enough time to work together. So we're continually looking at that to make sure we get the best out of our time every day. Also, again, you're going to hear the same song. It's not like third or fourth, fifth verse. To collaboratively identify and monitor the implementation of essential TEKs to ensure student learning. When we talk about the essential TEKs, obviously these are things that we look at every year based on our data. And then these essential TEKs, obviously we want to use high quality instructional materials. That is our tier 1 instruction, is the use of high quality instructional materials. We know that not every child gets it the first time. We know that we may have to use tier 2 or tier 3 interventions, and that's where we're going to look at these essential TEKs and then address those in those tier 2 and tier 3 teaching opportunities. And again, to increase staff capacity, job satisfaction and engagement, and improved academic performance. And you can see this the people at the district level who are responsible for monitoring. And then finally, again in priority 2, strategy under performance objective 4, to invest in staff growth through professional learning and specialized training. And we discussed this again in our balanced scorecard report, was to collaboratively develop a professional learning system focused on growth for staff. Again, we've established that committee that provided input to our TLI staff about what exactly they want to learn about and how we can help get them the learning that they need, whether it's schedule embedded PD or if it's after school or before school PD, lunch and learns, etc. We want to make sure that we provide that service to them through our TLI department, and they're committed to doing so.
Any questions, Dr. Baker? Or excuse me, Dr. Avery? Ms. Mott? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Board.
Okay, now we will go back to item number 4, which is our recognitions. Ms. Bridges?
Good evening, Board and Dr. Hollingsworth. I am so excited this evening to first recognize our College Board scholars from Global High School and Waxahachie High School. I'm going to invite our students from Global High School to come forward first. Maya Gus is a National Merit Commended student. Daniel Chavez is a National Merit Commended student. Aubrey Hernandez received the National Hispanic Recognition Award. Ariana Collins received the National African American Recognition Award. Jose Sierra received the National Hispanic Recognition Award. Kaylee Keys received the National Hispanic Recognition Award. Malia Kaji received the National African American Recognition Award. Paris Hurd received the National African American Recognition Award. And Samuel Sanchez received the National Hispanic Recognition Award. Let's give these students a hand. Next are our Waxahachie High School students who have received recognition from College Board. There are 21 of them. Only 14 were able to be here tonight, but we're still going to say all of their names. So Sarah Barker received academic honors. Owen Bartosh received academic honors and is a National Merit semifinalist. Brighton Burns received academic honors and is a National Merit Commended student. Wesley Jameson received academic honors and is a National Merit Commended student. Madison Kennard received academic honors in the National Rural and Small Town Award. Michael Lionheart received academic honors. Maylee McCorkle received academic honors in the National Rural and Small Town Award. Lily Miner, academic honors in the National Rural and Small Town Award. Eli Nance, academic honors in the National Indigenous Award. Jocelyn Ramirez, academic honors in the National Hispanic Recognition Award. Sydney Sambell received academic honors. Liam Alcala received academic honors, the National Hispanic Recognition Award, and the National Rural and Small Town Award. Angel Bell received academic honors, the National African American Recognition Award, and the National Rural and Small Town Award. Elena Benitez received academic honors, the National Hispanic Recognition Award, and the National Rural and Small Town Award. It is really hard to say rural. Madison Sharon received academic honors. Kinsley Gary received academic honors in the National African American Recognition Award. Rebecca Martin received academic honors. Tobias Moore received academic honors in the National Hispanic Recognition Award. Joseph Rowland received academic honors in the National Rural and Small Town Award. Eric Schutz received academic honors in the National Rural and Small Town Award. And finally, Stella Stevenson received academic honors in the National Rural and Small Town Award. Let's give them a hand. Great job, guys. Thank you for being here. Board, I'd like to invite Kate Authier, Kelly Sloan, and Brittany Songer from Wildman STEAM Academy to come up.
Good evening, Board, Dr. Hollingsworth, and to our community. Thank you for letting us share this morning about Wildman and giving campus highlight. I'm Kate Authier. I'm the principal at Wildman STEAM Academy. So a common misconception about STEAM is that it's all about just science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. When in reality, the way that we view STEAM at Wildman is that it's teaching our students how to solve problems. So teaching them how to use critical thinking, also incorporating project-based learning into what we do. So oftentimes if you come to our campus and you ask students what subject they're learning, they'll be able to tell you multiple because they don't see the content areas in silos. So we prepare them for future jobs and future careers in any area. Our vision is to be a campus where innovation thrives and growth is limitless. These are three things that are very important to our campus, and we call them some of our essentials. So the first one, you can see the picture up there. Those are scraps from our 3D printer where students have attempted and created 3D prints and then they did not work. So that's our fail bin. So first attempt in learning. So that's very essential to what we do at Wildman. Our students are taught that, hey, it's okay. So we're going to try and we're going to fail and we're going to keep trying and trying again, which goes into the growth mindset. So not having a fixed mindset, but understanding that we can continue to grow and learn in all that we do. And then in the power of yet. So even our youngest learners will correct each other and tell each other, you know, you can't say I can't. We say I can't do it yet. And so, again, the growth piece, and that's going to fall right into what we're talking about next. Ms. Nelson's going to tell us about our robots.
Alrighty, so at Wildman, a big piece of implementing that T and that technology is having the different robots, and kids get exposed to using different types of robots. And they really get really good at being able to program and use the robots. Some robots, they'll use an iPad to program them, and then they can control them from their iPad. And then some, like the Code and Go mouse that you see up there, they code it right on the mouse itself. There's buttons that they use to program, and then the mouse will follow whatever order they've input into the mouse. And so what they do with the robots is they connect what they're learning with the robots. So for example, something I think about off the top of my head is like the Code and Go mouse looks very simple. And then they can use it for, like in social studies, when they're learning about the compass, north, south, west, east. They can use that for those directional vocabulary to be able to see it just right there firsthand. And then we have, we keep these, we house a lot of these in our, in our rec room, what we call our rec room. So we have these different types of robots in our rec room, and then, and in our classrooms, and especially in our robotics room. And then we have, these are called little bits. These are different type of circuits, and so they'll put these different bits and pieces together. They input things in wires and try to come up with an output. So whether they're creating light or sound by putting these bits together. And then also 3D printing is a big deal. We use these a lot. So we actually have 4 3D printers right now. We're hoping when we get to the new school, we'll actually have 6 of these. We use 2 of these now. Well, we use all 4 of them, but 2 of them are displayed at a window. So as kids are walking by throughout the day, they can actually watch the 3D printers printing their different projects. And next, let me see. Okay, did I hit the wrong button? Did I? No. Sorry, there it is, rec room. So this is where I said a lot of these robots are housed. And so the rec room is an extension of the classroom that we use. So students will, they have to have a makerspace pass to come. Typically teachers will send them with a timer so they'll know how much time they have so they can get back to class. We have our special teachers that help us with the rec room and supporting students while they're working, they're exploring, they're discovering, they're applying what they're learning using these robots. Did I miss anything? I feel like I missed something. Oh, I was going to share about the 3D printers. So the 3D printing is really a complex process. So students are given a task. For example, recently the 5th grade team has been working on, the students have been working on a state fair project. And one of the components of the project is that they have to have something that's a 3D print. And so Ms. Songer and Ms. Sloan have been teaching them how to use software because they have to also program what they're going to print. And so they use Tinkercad, which is the software, and it sends, it's connected with Google Classroom. And so this will send it to Ms. Songer to review. And if the kiddos have successfully created a 3D image through Tinkercad, then she can send it to the printer and then they will print. I think. So now I would like to introduce to you Mrs. Sloan, who's our robotics teacher, and Mrs. Songer, who is our librarian and media specialist.
So with technology in the library, the goal of our class is to integrate technology and literature to support reading comprehension and to promote connections to the world around us. And we also promote choice, collaboration, community, and belonging through lessons, projects, and activities. So the first thing we do with all the classes is self-checkout. This promotes ownership of the library. I tell them all the time, it's not my library, it's not yours, it's ours. It also teaches real-world skills, because we all know we're all going to a self-checkout system. And it introduces students to the parts of the computer. So we talk about the scanner, they have to use the mouse to make sure the cursor's in the right spot. This is kindergarten, and with kindergarten in the library, we start with the Osmo. It's a program on the iPad, and it's really neat because they have to use tangible pieces in front of the iPad, and then they see what they're creating on the screen. So kindergarten, when they're talking about shapes and colors, we do the tangrams, and then first grade is actually using that in the lower picture to do a coding game. So we read a little book about fun monsters this morning and then did a coding game. And in the bottom right corner, we have a student using the Codapillar. That's one of the first robots that we introduced to kindergarten. This is another lesson we did in the library with robotics. This is the Sphero Indy, and it's kind of hard to see in the picture, but there's a little blue car, and he's coded through colored mats. So we read fairy tales, and then the students retold the fairy tales using the coded mats. So in the bottom picture, they did Little Red Riding Hood. So it starts with her in the forest, and then she's going slow, and then she encounters the wolf, so you see the green, and that made her speed up and then turn. And then the students in the top corner, they were doing the Three Little Pigs, so they actually made houses out of Post-it notes so that the car could roll over the Post-it notes to represent the wolf knocking the houses down. And then with all the talk of a new Wildman, we decided to read If I Built a School. And it's a great story about a young boy who says, well, this school is great, but I would really love all of these things. And they're pretty wild and crazy. So I wanted to know what our students would think would be their perfect library. So they designed them on paper first, and then the younger students designed a map of their ideal library in Google Drawings, and then the older kids did a 3D diorama in Tinkercad. So that's something that wouldn't get printed, but it was just neat to see all the different aspects of what they would like. And right now, with 4th and 5th grade, they're creating book trailers. So they're promoting a book that they have read and that they want others to read, and they're doing that through Canva or Google Slides. And it's really neat because they're finding ways to incorporate sound and transitions, and they're learning different ways to record themselves on camera also. And then the goal is to have QR codes throughout the library so that other students can scan the QR code and see if it's a book that they want to read. So PLC, the library is one of the rotations that the students go to while their teachers are in PLC. And I wanted it to be something more than them just hanging out. I wanted it to be meaningful. So for our upper classes, we use that time to really get into Tinkercad, and that's the 3D design program. So it's a chance for them to troubleshoot with me any problems that they're having or any questions that they have, and then for me to meet with them if their prints aren't working, we can kind of go through it together and find out why. It's also a great chance to introduce our younger classes to Tinkercad, and we talk about the basis of 3D shapes versus, so like a sphere versus a circle and what the differences are. And then it's a time for our younger classes to buddy up with our older classes too. And here's some more Tinkercad projects. So the student in the bottom left, he's creating a frog. He loves frogs, and his 2nd grade teacher also really likes frogs. So it was neat because we could print an extra copy for his teacher, and they could have that connection. The car in the top right, that's one of the State Fair projects. And then the bottom picture is from the 5th grade States of Matter. This was a really cool project we did last year with the art classroom. They designed ornaments for the trees that were here for the candlelight tour of homes. And this really promoted all of our core values here. Community, because they created something that the community could see. Belonging, because it made them really feel like they were a part of our community. They got to choose which design they wanted to do, and they collaborated together. It was a really, really neat project.
So in the robotics class, I mean, the main goal of it is that we're going to teach the technology application TEKS using robotics and different robotic concepts. And so I definitely try to incorporate the 21st century skills. You know, they have to communicate not only with each other with that and with collaboration, but then they also have to communicate with that robot because they, you know, obviously have to tell it what to do. Definitely encourage creativity. I'll have some pictures in a minute where students are actually creating in class. And then as far as like the stuff to create the class, most of it comes from the websites and the companies that we purchase the robots from. I mean, thankfully there's lots of challenging grade-specific lessons out there on the various websites. And then of course code.org is a great coding program online, and they do sponsor the Hour of Code in December. It's like a week-long challenge to get your kids to code at least an hour. And then of course Lego Robotics website, and then TCEA. Okay, so in kindergarten, I definitely try to start with some of the basic just computer concepts, you know, how to use a mouse, how to, you know, drag and drop, how to click. And then we also learn just basics about robotics, you know, how to carry a robot, how to, you know, handle it gently, press the buttons. As you see in the one picture on the right, that's the Code and Go mouse. And what I love about him is he has one button. And you can snap your code blocks on, you can tell him to go straight or whichever way you want him to go, and then they press that one button. And if they accidentally roll him around like a toy car, that's okay. He's definitely made for kids. And so again, just trying those basic concepts in kindergarten. Sorry, that's fine. So for first grade is where we really start jumping in. I definitely continue the you know, computer skills, iPad skills, but now I really start bringing some of the robots out, and instead of just kind of playing with them, we actually start learning how to correctly use them. So what you see in this picture, I also was going over different types of robots, and so this particular lesson was the Mars rover. And so they were coding the Ozobot, and you code him by drawing lines. And he is kind of picky. And so we were talking about how to draw lines correctly, and then that way he will follow them. And it was supposed to simulate, you know, maybe that Mars rover following the code and being driven around Mars. So in second grade, I start doing a little bit more. We start with the basic parts of a robot. I thankfully have a couple of broken robots that we're able to kind of disassemble, and we start looking at all the wires in there, you know, kind of learning, hey, these things really aren't alive. And so then I start covering some internet safety, and I can incorporate robots in there talking about how to be safe because, you know, they do all have Chromebooks. And then I also start talking about coding. As y'all see in the picture on the right, those kiddos have the Code and Go mouse. And so we start off with just being able to punch those arrows to tell him which direction you want him to go. And then second half of the year, we will start pulling out those coding blocks, use some of the other robots to where they actually have to read. You know, they actually have to drag the block over to tell it to go forward or backwards or whichever way you want it. Third grade. This one is where we're really starting to do a lot more coding. As y'all can see on the floor on the right, those kiddos, again, this was kind of the Mars rover challenge day. Those kiddos were coding their robot to drive around the cups. The cups were supposed to simulate Mars rocks because you don't want to get your robot on Mars stuck on a rock. And so they were coding him to go around those, and they had kind of a start and a stop. I also am starting to enforce for third grade is definitely being creative. On the right, those kiddos are creating basically a video game character in Bloxels. And so as you'll see in the next couple of slides, and as the grades go on, they actually can start building some video games as well. Let's see, make sure I covered all my notes on that one. My big thing for third grade is I just start giving them challenges. You know, hey, can you code your robot to do this? Already in fourth grade, again, continuing with, I would say, a little harder coding projects. I do introduce JavaScript as well. I also like them, again, to be creative. And so in that top right picture, those kiddos are currently working on a roller coaster for their Ozobot. The Ozobot can be coded in several ways, and I encourage them to use all of the ways. They draw lines, they connect it to the app on the iPad, they can drive it, and they can also drag blocks over and code it. So you see lots of pictures with Ozobots. Up on the left, the little white robots, those are the cues. On that one, their challenge was we were playing the what's the game? It's this or that. And so I would give them 2 questions. Would you rather be a cat or a dog? And they coded their robot to where if they pushed the button, it would go to the direction in which, they would rather be. And then finally, in 5th grade, I definitely challenge them to do a lot of building. I'm still enforcing the, computer skills, iPad skills, and everything, but we get to have a challenge. The little video, that was actually 2 weeks ago. We coded our spheros, so we were playing Pong. Coding that sphero to go back and forth between the 2 partners. They had to get the blocks. They even had to put blocks inside of blocks. It definitely was quite a challenge, and they had a pretty good time whenever we got done with that one. Kind of the pictures there in the middle, those kiddos are using the Hummingbird kits. They are basically creating their own robot. It's a very basic kit, especially in these pictures. We were just getting started. We were literally learning how to use a little plastic screwdriver, and you mash down and you're attaching this wire, and you're going to wire up an LED light, or you are going to connect this motor and get it to spin, pause, spin. And so not only did they actually wire that up, but then they also coded it to work. And then on the right, these are the kiddos. They're starting their Bloxels video game. That can be done on the Chromebook, the iPad. They're creating a video game that can be published and played online.
Those are just some more pictures from robotics class. So why STEM? So I recently went to a conference through Region 10 called the Texas Ecosystem Conference, and there were representatives there from different areas of STEM in the industry sector, and there were district representatives from across our region, and we were able to collaborate and network together, and these were just some takeaways that I had from it. But the reason that I put this up there is you can see the unfilled STEM jobs that are coming very soon, and then also you can see the new TEKs for science for next school year that are going to be implemented, as well as the technology TEKs. And I just am very proud that we have amazing educators like Ms. Sloan and Ms. Songer who are preparing our students for this, and also our classroom teachers, and just wanted to thank the district for their support of Wildman over the past 6 years. These ladies have built this program from the ground up, and we've all worked together to build our campus, so just very much appreciate you. And I got to hear from Michelle Sedbury, who's the TEA STEM coordinator for the state of Texas. And it was very interesting in talking to her. She said, I just want you to know that that Wildman is one of the only campuses, if not the only campus that I've heard of, that's a full immersion campus. So that means that we don't just have robotics class, or we don't just have a STEM club, that STEM and STEAM is incorporated across our entire campus. So to hear that from her, that we're the only one that she can think of is pretty remarkable. And so just thank you for your support for all of you, for our campus and for our teachers. And what we always say at Wildman, and if my kids were here, they would say something on the end too, but we say we take care of ourselves, we take care of Wildman, we take care of each other, the future is bright at Wildman. And they would say, have a great day. And I get to continue with these ladies that they don't know behind me. They thought they were just here to present. So I am grateful to be able to recognize 2 of Wildman's amazing educators that are paving the way to success for our school and our students. These 2 ladies are a dynamic duo incorporating STEM practices and technology into their respective classes daily. They are innovative, eager to learn, and are always willing to support our other staff members as well. They lead our 3D printing and wood engraving. Districts have visited our campus from all over the Metroplex and have reached out to gain their expertise in STEM incorporation and robotics.
If you walk into our library during one of Ms. Songer's classes, you will see engaged students working in groups, partners creating, coding, designing, discovering, discussing their learning, and more. You will find Ms. Songer hidden among the students, working with them, checking in, guiding, reading to them, connecting everything to literacy, and building a love of reading. From 3D printing, creating book trailers, presenting to their peers, coding robots in relation to their stories, the lessons she creates prepare our students for life after Wildman and beyond.
Head into our robotics class and you will see students buzzing with excitement, knee-deep into coding with Hummingbird, programming robots, making real-world connections with space and rovers, working together, and more. From our youngest learners to our oldest, Ms. Sloan creates diverse lessons with high rigor and expectations, and our students rise to the task. Ms. Sloan has built her robotics curriculum from the ground up over the past 6 years. And that's true. We couldn't find anything like what we were going to do anywhere else, so she dove right in. And like any great educator, she continues to refine and mold it to be better and better. She seeks professional development to enhance her instruction in the classroom. Wildman is very blessed that Ms. Sloan and Ms. Songer call Wildman home. They are more than just top-notch educators. They are wonderful humans. They love our students, collaborate with peers, and go above and beyond to serve. They have had and continue to have an immeasurable positive impact on our students, staff, and families. They are great models to learn from, and we are very grateful for them.
Next, I'd like to ask Mr. Michael Williams to come up.
Would you mind? Thank you. Good evening, Board. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. Thank you for this opportunity to recognize one of my teachers and speak a little bit about Howard Junior High. I am excited tonight to recognize this teacher, Liz McCullough. She is a solid heart on our campus. Her desire and her love for our kids is evident in everything that she does. She is currently assigned as our math interventionist, but she does a lot more. She's on numerous committees on our campus, as well as throughout the district. She started our incentive days, which she'll have the opportunity to speak to you about tonight. So I'm excited for you to hear about that. She's assisted with our testing administration. She provides support for our Tier 3 instruction. And she's just an overall team player. I am grateful to have her on our campus and a part of our Howard family. And tonight I want to recognize her and thank her for all that she's done. So, as I mentioned, she started this committee, which is our incentive committee, and I want her to speak to that a little bit. Where's the forward? Sorry. All right, so I'm going to turn a little bit of time over to her.
All right, so Howard Junior High created an incentive committee towards the end of last year. The committee is composed of a variety of staff members ranging from classroom teachers, paraprofessionals, and our shared campus teachers and administrators. The committee discusses and plans ways to acknowledge our Braves that exemplify excellence on our campus. We work together to create positive impact on our campus culture, promote positive behaviors, and overall try to make school fun again. As a place where kids want to come and learn, knowing that teachers care about them as a whole person and not just a data point. The committee brainstormed things that we felt we needed to incentivize on our campus in order to be the best campus and discussed how we were going to implement this campus-wide. The committee determined that we were going to focus on attendance, tardies, ID infractions, grades, and behavior infractions. We did a trial run of incentive day at the end of last school year, and it was starting to motivate our kids for this school year. So these are some pictures from our Brave Day from 2022-2023. This was an all-day event, and the students had to meet a requirement to attend. Those who did not meet that requirement to attend watched a motivational movie that reinforced positive qualities we wanted in our students. As a committee, we learned a lot from this day and what worked well and what we needed to adjust. Overall, it was a great day and a great way to end the year. For our current year, we have 6 Brave events planned, 5 of our half days, which we're making the most of our district's PLC half days, and 1's going to be a full day. Our first incentive day was so much fun, and all the students that were able to participate into this event to build that buy-in for students. Students were given a choice of what they wanted to do. Students filled out a Google form and identified what they were interested in. Based on that information, I assigned the students 2 different events for the day. We gave the students colored wristbands that corresponded to the location of their events, and this helped us to know where the students were for that hour. At the end of the day, students filled out another Google form giving us feedback. Some of the feedback we heard was, "It's really fun. I got to make finger people. I enjoyed playing a board game with my teacher and some new people." Teachers' feedback was every student was able to engage in areas that they enjoyed and liked. Movement was quick and efficient. Some of the parent feedback we heard was the kids came home and went straight to bed. They were very worn out. So the second 6 weeks, we've added a Brave Bank system. And so our Brave Bank system is an electronic version, and the students are given a weekly paycheck for coming to school and working hard. They receive bonuses for perfect attendance, for grades, and for receiving Brave cards. They also get deductions for detentions and tardies. Our plan is to start adding community involvement in our next incentive days. Some of our ideas are stations led by parents, stations that involve the SAGU athletic students, and bringing in different types of food trucks. Our committee's goal is to make Howard a better place, one step at a time.
Thank you. Now you know why I appreciate her so much. It's about culture, right? And our kids don't care what you know until they know that you care. We hear that a lot. And I think that and this program has helped with that on our campus, and I look forward to seeing it continue to grow. In addition, we implemented Brave cards that she talked about, and I passed a few of them to you. These are our values and what we see ourselves as. So if you read that card and look at that card that I passed to you, this is what we expect of our students. This is an opportunity for our teachers to recognize their students. We have encouraged our teachers to give at least 1 out per week in recognizing our students, and when they do, the students receive a phone call home from their teacher saying, "Hey, I chose your student this day for this reason. I want you to know how great they are and how much we appreciate having them." In addition to that, they come, they drop off the card at our office. They get some candy, because who doesn't like candy, especially children? But they are also entered into a drawing. So by class, at the end of the month, we draw. And so each one of these represents a 6th, 7th, and 8th grader who won in that drawing. And so they also get, in this case, I think that they got, I can't remember what food restaurant we gave them, Raising Cane's. So they want a gift card to Raising Cane's. And so it's fun for them, and it incentivizes them to, hey, we want to be brave. That's who we are, and it's our motto, and that's what we go with. In addition to that, on the academic realm, you're familiar with the Student Spaceflight Experience program, which we have. 6th graders have really taken off with this. One of the things I like, though, other than the projects they're performing, is also we like a little bit of cross-curricular work. And so we got with the art department, and they've created patches that could potentially go on the astronaut's arm. That will also represent Waxahachie and our students. Now, our goal, hopefully, is that the patches from our school win. But here are a few of those. And I don't know if you can see the detail even in that visor of the helmet of that astronaut. It's a reflection of what that astronaut is seeing. And it's just so cool to see these kids get involved in this way. And so I was excited to share that with you. It's not just about the science, but it's also about the art. Other accelerated opportunities. This is Ms. Renfro in her accelerated math class. These students, by the time they leave, will have taken, see right now they're taking 7th and 8th grade math at 6th grade. They will eventually next year they'll be in their pre-AP algebra, followed by their 8th grade year pre-AP geometry and statistics. So by the time that they get to high school, they're going to be well prepared to stand up here in front of you and get some of those awards that you saw given to those high schoolers today. And so we're excited about these programs. They've been a blessing for our students, and they've allowed us to extend for some of those students who really need that higher level of learning. Finally, one of the things I do want to say, and has been mentioned this evening, effective PLCs equal student learning. I come from a PLC background. I love the PLC. It allows our teachers to plan and work together and use data-driven strategies so that they can help our kids excel and provide experiences, as you see kind of in some of these pictures, as our teachers have planned and used the data to say, okay, where are our students' needs? But we want to create an experience of learning, not just sitting at a desk learning. And through the PLCs, our teachers have been able to provide that and make those plans, and that's why they crave it. And you heard that tonight. And we are trying to find more opportunities for them to PLC together, particularly in our core areas, and we're excited about it. So I want to say thank you. We're taking off at Howard. We're working and changing our culture. I love my teachers. I love my staff. And Ms. McCullough is a great representative of who they are. So thank you for this night and the opportunity to present some of those things to you and Ms. McCullough.
Board finally this evening, I'd like to invite Jamie Winters, our dyslexia coordinator, to come up.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Hollingsworth. I'm excited to be here and have the opportunity to recognize one of our amazing therapists and some of the great things that we have going on in the dyslexia department. Our 23-24 Therapist Spotlight recognition is going to be for Mrs. Lori Moore at Howard Junior High. Lori is a fantastic dyslexia therapist. She has 25 dedicated years here in WISD, with the last 10 years as a dyslexia therapist. In addition to her work with students, she also serves as a department mentor, supporting our therapists who are newly joining our team and working through their extensive practicum, as well as therapists that are new to district. Mrs. Moore is always willing to share her creative and innovative ways to reinforce instruction and accelerate student growth. Her former students have shared that instruction has changed their experience in their classrooms and allowed them to grow as readers. They also shared that her classroom was a space where they felt welcomed and also felt like they belonged. And I could stand up here all night long, which I'm sure you guys want to do, and share a million reasons why Lori is just a fantastic therapist, but what I would rather do is share some words directly from her students that they've asked me to share. Lori, thank you for everything you've done for me. You were there when I needed it, and you were so nice and made me happy. I felt I belonged in your class, and I love that I see people who are like me. And of course, they're saying Mrs. Moore. I wanted to let you know how much you mean to me and how you have helped me. Before I came to your class, I was scared to read aloud. I never even let people know I had a reading disorder. Since I've been in your class, you have helped me in ways I didn't know I needed. Thank you for taking your time with me and making me a better reader. And finally, thank you for helping me with reading and spelling. I still use what you taught me today. So please join me in congratulating Mrs. Lori Moore.
She was also my 4th grade teacher. She already knew how to read, though.
I just have some quick highlights from the dyslexia department. So as many of you know, our summer legislative session had a lot of changes in regard to dyslexia, not only how we identify students, but how we serve them. These changes brought us closer in alignment to how every other state in the United States serves students with dyslexia. So one of the biggest changes for identification was that students now have to be identified through a full comprehensive evaluation, including a multidisciplinary team members, view of the evaluation. That multidisciplinary team member has to have specific knowledge of dyslexia as well as the dyslexia instruction practice. And I am extremely proud to be part of WISD at this time because a lot of districts are going to be struggling with meeting that requirement. They're waiting for state board information as to how they're going to do that. And like Dr. Hollingsworth always says, it's not like this everywhere, y'all. This district has really invested a lot of training in our therapists, and we are well equipped to meet the highest standard on that. So it's very exciting. The other big change has to do with the identification of dyslexia services now as a special education service. So moving forward, students newly identified will be served through special education. Students who are currently participating in instruction will be continuing through the end of the 24-25 school year. Well, they'll either transition if additional services are necessary, or they'll be continued to serve under 504 for accommodations. Here is a quick glance at our 2023-24 dyslexia numbers. We currently support over 400 students in dyslexia instruction with our therapist. In addition to those students, we have 670 students who are currently on a 504 plan or an IEP plan receiving accommodations and support for dyslexia. And finally, in May of 2023, we were awarded over $150,000 for TEA's competitive dyslexia grant. This is an exciting time. It's allowing us to bring early reading intervention programming for some of our K-1 students flagged with reading difficulties. It's allowing us to expand our current dyslexia programming to include Reading Horizons, where we are also cross-training 50 special education teachers and dyslexia therapists in a shared methodology so we can support students in addition to Take Flight, which we currently offer. We are building out our bilingual dyslexia programming with a transitional program that complements Esperanza, and we're also going to be able to implement some advanced training on identification and intervention for dysgraphia. And while all of that is wonderful and exciting, none of it would be possible without the team of dyslexia therapists we have, who work tirelessly every day to support students as they develop their reading skills and also to grow academically every year. So I'd like to take just a moment to recognize each therapist. We have Stephanie Cavazos at Shackelford, Leslie Day at Dunaway, Roxanne Mesh at Wildman, Lori Moore at Howard and WHS, Ashley Mendoza, who is at Wildman, Candace Patrica, who's at Simpson and Howard, Stephanie Rodriguez at Felty, Eloisa Rodriguez at Wedgeworth, Julie Rogers at WHS, Sarah Williams at Simpson, Elizabeth Wynn at Northside, Portia Wood at Felty and Marvin, Laura Tillman at Northside and Clift, Brandy Harlan at Clift, and Elizabeth Smith at Shackelford. One last slide. Jean Jones at Finley and Global, Reagan Lee at Marvin, Tori Smith at Coleman, and Jenny Mendoza at Wedgeworth and Dunaway. Thank you.
Thank you, Board and Dr. Hollingsworth.
Moving on to our next item will be item 7, will be our consent agenda. We have items A through N for consideration. And take it all in one motion, or if you would like to remove one for discussion, whichever the board may choose.
I move to approve the consent agenda, items A through N.
Motion by Mr. McCutcheon. Second by Mrs. Starnader. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, moving on to our one action item, with action item A, consideration with possible action to approve a contract with Roan Engineering to provide construction materials, engineering, and testing work on Wildman Steam Elementary building report.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Hollingsworth. Tonight, we're seeking approval of a contract with Roan Engineering for engineering, testing, and materials work out at Wildman, the new Wildman development. So what they end up doing is they test every material brought on to make sure that it's in specification with what we've requested as part of the GMP for the project. And so it is us hiring them. It's not, they don't work for anybody else but us on this project. So it's making sure that we're getting what we asked for. Right now, we estimate the budget for that to be about $112,500. It's within the scope of the guaranteed maximum price as defined, and it is something that we would do on every project. And so We have Roan already set up for elementary 10, and we're asking for their approval on Wildman tonight.
Any questions for Mr. Collins? Okay, I entertain a motion to approve action item A as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Timmerman,
Second.
second by Mrs. Kriegel. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you very
Board.
much. All right, and our next item, item number 9, will be comments from individual board members in any particular order.
I'll start. I was reading to get ready for the meeting, and there was an informational report from transportation. And I thought, wow, they need to be recognized. As I was reading, they transport 4,555 students per day with 108 routes. And I thought that was pretty amazing. Everybody over there, the mechanics, the office personnel, they all, if we're short of bus drivers, they pitch in. It's truly teamwork over there. So I wanted to recognize them and also recognize our crossing guards who work in all kinds of weather and get our kids safely to school crossing the streets. So I wanted to recognize them also.
To go along with that, I want to recognize our janitors. I believe last week was World Janitor Day or something. I usually see that at the end of the day when it's way too late to recognize them for that day. So I want to recognize all of our janitors who do such a wonderful job keeping our buildings clean, showing up every day. And I just can't say how much I appreciate the janitors of our campus, or of our district.
Anyone else? Okay. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mrs. Kriegel, second by Mr. Rogers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you guys very much.